Hey everybody and welcome back to some more Project Ozone Lite. We're back. Last episode we were working on setting up our very basics of our applied energistics 2 system. We got a storage bus to connect our emmy crafting terminal to everything in our storage drawers, and we also set up an emmy drive as well as one emmy 1K storage cell to allow us to put in some extra stuff that we don't have a dedicated storage drawer for. And since the end of last episode, I have done a couple of things. First things first, you'll see that I've added 3 more 1K emmy storage cells to give us just a little bit more space inside of our emmy crafting terminal and to allow us to permanently get rid of these 2 side chests that we kind of have just sitting around here. We no longer need them. All of our stuff is stored nice and neatly inside of our emmy crafting terminal. And then also, you may remember in the last episode, I had a bit of an issue with silicon and with this skystone dust over here, because for whatever reason, skystone dust, at least in this version of the pack, which I should point out is an old version of the pack we haven't updated yet, and so this might get fixed in the newest version, but the skystone dust has the same odd dictionary name as the silicon from Applied Energistics 2, and so whenever I would put my silicon into the storage drawer through the drawer controller, it would automatically turn it into skystone dust, which is not what I wanted it to do. So to fix that problem, I added another set of storage drawers. I made 4 more and put them all down. I'm sure I'll find something to put in the rest of them soon, but for now, I just wanted to get one of them, and excuse me, do you mind? I just wanted to get one of them for the silicon, so that if I put silicon into the system, either into the crafting terminal or into this drawer controller, it would not get turned into skystone. Now, what dawned on me between episodes is that this works, by the way. I should clarify that now if I take silicon out and I put it in to the system, it does put it back into the correct drawer. But what I realized is we can kind of abuse this a little bit in the other direction, because although we lost silicon last episode, what we can do is take skystone out of this storage drawer, and by the way, we've got 6,500 skystone, and then if I put the skystone into this drawer, it automatically converts that skystone into silicon, allowing us to very easily skip the step of having to use the sag mill when it comes to getting silicon. Now, as I mentioned, probably patched out in the latest update, and I'll probably update between episodes, and so you might not be able to abuse this for much longer, but it's nice nonetheless, kind of makes up for all the silicon that we lost in the last episode. I also went through and made a bunch of processes. I made 32 of each, so we don't have to worry about crafting up all of those in today's episode, and I do want to get into a little bit more Applied Energistics 2 later on in today's episode, but before we do that, I want to address our power situation, because as I mentioned in the last episode, we are kind of running out of power. You can see right now, if we look at our basic capacitor bank, at the top there, you can see I/O in/out is at negative 25 redstone flux per tick, and so we are losing redstone flux per tick overall. We're not gaining redstone flux per tick, which is not a great position to be in, especially considering our advanced inscriber and our crystal growth chamber are both not online. If we start putting things into either of these, the power goes down even more and we start to lose power even faster. Also, I did set up a bit of a chest up here just to store all of the presses in, because it saves me going backwards and forwards every single time that I want to make something in the advanced inscriber, because I never had the right press on me at the right time. But that's getting off topic. The basic capacitor bank is losing power, and so I want to work on getting some more redstone flux, and I want to mix it up a little bit. Whilst we could make more of these magnetic generators and throw them down, and that would work probably more than fine, because our draconic evolution block over here is making more than enough lava to power all of these happily, and could probably easily provide enough lava for a bunch more of these. I want to mix it up a little bit, and I also want to get started with a little bit of mechanism. And to do that, we need to start with the metallurgic infuser, the first quest in the mechanism quest line, and I believe the metallurgic infuser, which I believe is spelled with 2 L's, is fairly easy to make. To make it, we need 4 osmium, 2 conductive iron, 2 iron furnaces, and then 1 steel casing. The iron furnace is a very simple recipe requiring just iron and a furnace. Should be able to make that stuff fairly easily. So we'll take 2 of you. We'll then make 2 iron furnaces like so. I think we might already have some conductive iron in the system. We've got 1. We can, of course, make more of that. I believe, if memory serves me right, by combining iron and silicon, I think, in the alloy smelter. Nope, apparently my memory does not serve me right. It's redstone and iron in the alloy smelter. Which one requires silicon then? Because I'm fairly certain there was a recipe in the alloy smelter. Oh, it was redstone alloys that required redstone and silicon. That's fine. So those are going to smelt up. We should also probably look at some point fairly soon here into making a double layer or even an octadic capacitor to increase the speed of both our alloy smelter and our sag mill. And also, speaking of these two, they're both currently getting power from these tier 3 solar panels, which is fine for the moment. You'll notice that both of them have got about 500,000 redstone flux kind of backed up in storage there, but I would like to get them hooked up to the main power source downstairs, and of course to all of our mechanism power that we'll hopefully get in today's episode. So what are we missing now? We're missing 4 osmium, which we already have in our storage drawers, and then finally a steel casing, which needs 4 steel, another osmium, and 4 glass. I don't think we have any steel. We don't. Now, getting steel isn't too hard for us. We have made a couple of ingots before. It should get a little easier for us once we start getting into mechanism, because you can make steel using the metallurgic infuser, and although it's a bit more of an involved process, I think it's going to end up taking less time and less effort, especially seeing as right now the way that we've been making it requires 8 pulverized charcoal, and charcoal is a bit of a pain to get, especially given that we don't have an automated tree farm of any kind just yet. So let me try that again. Let me get like half a stack of charcoal here real quick, and then also we only need 8 iron, but that's fine. We can throw the rest of it in like, we need to sag mill it first, don't we? Of course. Whilst I'm waiting for that, what do we need for a double layer capacitor? We need 2 normal capacitors, which we should now be able to make really easily. And then we also need 2 energetic alloys made with redstone, gold, and glowstone, as well as 1 coal powder or 1 pulverized coal. This actually should be really easy for us to make. So if I take a redstone, not a block of shiny metal. Let me put that back. If I get a redstone, a glowstone, and a gold, and throw all of those into here, I think this does take a little while. It's one of the slower smelting recipes, and of course we do need 2 of those. So let me just grab 1 extra of everything, and then once that's done, I think that's pretty much everything done. The charcoal's almost finished. Let me quickly grab 1 piece of coal to throw in here. That's going to get us the coal dust that we need. Take you, put all of that together in like so, and we get a double layer capacitor. Nice. And as you can see, it increases the energy storage rate and also speed/range of our machines. The alloy smelter doesn't have any range, but it does have speed. And so now if I was to put in the pulverized charcoal and the iron ingot, you'll see now it's using 240 redstone flux per tick, which I believe is up from about 80 redstone flux per tick. So it has, I think, tripled. Actually, we can just check here real quick. Yeah, so 80 up to 240. It has tripled the amount of redstone flux per tick that it needs, but it's also drastically increased the speed at which it works. And so now we should be able to fairly easily get ourselves a steel casing and then craft that together with everything else to make a metallurgic infuser. Nice. So I think, again, for now, I'm going to put this down right about here. We do need some kind of power up here, and so I think we are eventually going to want to run energy conduits from downstairs all the way up into here, but I think for now that, as awkward as it looks, should work just fine in providing power to the metallurgic infuser. It does indeed. And so now that that is done, that is 1 quest complete. We will of course claim the middle loot box there and hopefully get something good. And a wither skeleton charm. That's a new one, I think. Let me just check that it is. Yeah, that's actually really nice. That should make getting wither skeleton skulls to make and fight the wither a lot easier. But now that we've got that, let me see. The next quest, I believe, is to make the basic circuit under mechanism. This one down here. Yeah, it wants us to make 1 basic circuit. By the way, what I want to make here is these guys, these wind turbines, because they produce quite a lot of power, and they're also quite cheap. Now, to make these, we need to get ourselves 1 basic circuit, which we're about to make. You can make these with osmium and redstone in the metallurgic infuser. It is a little bit inefficient right now to use 1 piece of redstone and then 1 piece of osmium, but you put 1 piece of redstone in the purple slot. It will then show you 10 redstone in this bar on the left, 1 osmium in this red slot, and then that will combine using a bit of redstone flux to get us our first basic control circuit. We then need 3 osmium, 1 enriched alloy, which is the same process but with iron instead of osmium, and then finally we need 2 energy tablets, which require 2 more enriched alloys, some gold, and some redstone. And so we need 4 enriched alloys for the 2 golden, for the 2 energy tablets, and then 1 enriched alloy to then actually finally make the wind turbine. So we need 5 of these, which simply means 5 redstone, 2, 3, 4, and 5, as well as 5 iron, like so. You can make speed upgrades for the metallurgic infuser because it is a little slow at the moment, but for the time being, we'll let it just run and do its thing. There are more efficient ways to get more use out of your redstone, I guess is a good way to put it. And if I look in the quest line here, I believe it's called the enrichment chamber. So do we have what it takes to make an enrichment chamber real quick, if I can spell it? We need 2 basic control circuits, another steel casing, 4 redstone, and 2 iron ingots. What this is going to allow us to do is enrich our redstone. So again, using redstone flux, you can put a piece of redstone into the enrichment chamber, and then it will get you enriched redstone, which then you can put into the left slot here in the metallurgic infuser, and you will get 10 times as much redstone out of it as you would normally. Hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, don't worry about it. I can show you here real quick how it's going to work. Let me just quickly grab some more charcoal, 32, so I can make another 4 steel. Again, we can make this faster using the metallurgic infuser, and I am going to quickly move my AA capacitor over to the sag mill. I think we do waste power by doing that, because you'll notice that right now it can hold up to 300,000 redstone flux. And so when I move the AA capacitor from here back to here and backwards and forwards, we do lose, I think, like 200,000 redstone flux, which is not really good practice, but I'm a little bit impatient. And so we'll throw that in there, throw in the pulverized charcoal. That's going to get us the other 4 steel ingots. And so once we got those, let me quickly make another steel casing. And then very quickly after that, let me grab a piece of osmium, a piece of redstone, and we should be able to make this enrichment chamber here fairly easily. And once we got this, as I mentioned earlier, it is going to make getting more steel fairly easy as well. So do I have everything required to do this? I do indeed. Let's do the same thing we've done on the right there, but now on the left with another janky looking energy conduit like so. And then inside of here, if I was to, for example, make some steel, what we can do now, instead of going through Ender IO, if we wanted to make some steel dust from mechanism, all we have to do is put in some enriched iron and some coal or charcoal into the metallurgic infuser. Enriched iron is made with coal or charcoal and iron, and you'll notice there that we can get compressed carbon, and compressed carbon is made in the enrichment chamber. So, just like, you can do the same thing with redstone, so I'll grab redstone and I'll grab some coal here. If I put a piece of redstone in, it's going to go ahead and turn that 1 piece of redstone into an enriched piece of redstone. Any second now. There it is, compressed redstone, sorry. And that will act as 10 pieces of redstone in the left slot here of the metallurgic infuser. And the same thing is true of the coal. So I'll put some coal in there. And if I quickly grab 1 more piece, if we put 1 piece in here like this, we get 10 carbon on the left, and we can put an iron in to get 1 piece of steel. But if we put in a compressed carbon from our enrichment chamber, like so, you'll see that we get 90 carbon, or 100 carbon maybe. It might have pulled one in a little bit sooner, I'm not quite sure. But we get a lot more carbon per piece of coal is the point there. So we could throw that in. That's going to get us a bunch of enriched iron. We do have to cycle the enriched iron twice, which is why I mentioned it is a bit more of an involved process than going through and using the alloy smelter and the sag mill, but it does eventually use less resources, and most importantly, it uses less charcoal, which we don't really have an unlimited source of, whereas normal coal we've got almost 7,000 of, and so it really does make more sense for us for the time being to take our coal, put it through the enrichment chamber, and then use that to make our steel, as opposed to planting saplings, growing trees, smelting the wood, and then using that charcoal to then go ahead and make the steel. So, now that that's done, how far away are we from making some wind turbines? What am I missing? I'm missing, I think, just the basic energy circuit, actually, because we've got the enriched alloys, and so making 2 of these energy tablets here is going to be nice and easy. We've already got the final enriched alloy for the center there. We, of course, already have the osmium, and so all we need is 1 piece of redstone and 1 iron. The only downside to using the compressed versions of the redstone, the coal, and all that kind of stuff is that occasionally you end up with stuff left over in this slot on the left here. It's not really too big of a deal because you usually do get value out of it anyway. But if you've got, for example, some carbon in here and you want to put redstone in, you can press the dump button and it will get rid of anything in this left-hand slot, and then you can put in whatever you would like. In this case, I would just like, is it iron or osmium? It is osmium. 1 piece of osmium in with our redstone, and any second now we'll get another basic control circuit, like so, and then we can whack that in with everything else to make our first wind generator. Nice. So these can go down pretty much anywhere. The higher you put them, the more power they do generate. If we look inside right now, you can see that it's generating 36 redstone flux per tick, which is not a particularly high amount of redstone flux, but it is producing it for free. There is no fuel required here. It's just going to constantly, passively produce 36 redstone flux per tick. If I was to, for example, pick this up and put it down just a little bit higher. For example, like right here, you can see it's now producing 37.45 redstone flux per tick. And so the higher we put it, the more redstone flux per tick it will generate. I don't know if we have what it takes to make an angel block real quick, so I would like to show you guys just how much redstone flux per tick we could produce if we were really high up. Unfortunately, we don't have any feathers yet. That is something we need to work on. We need to set up a grass platform 24 blocks away so we can start spawning cows, sheep, pigs, chickens, and getting some of those feathers. But essentially, the higher up it goes, the more power it produces, up to a maximum of, was it 190 redstone flux per tick? 192 redstone flux per tick is its max output. I'm not quite sure what its maximum generation is. The max output, by the way, is the maximum it can transfer out. So right now, you'll notice it's got 36,000 backed up. It can push out a maximum of 192. For the time being, I am just going to go ahead and put this, I think, probably on the back here. So if I do like that, and as weird as it's going to look, because you do have to place these kind of facing towards the wires, I'm going to have to grab like a quick bit of cobblestone, do something like this, and then something like that to get it to sit there. It's going to look weird, but it is going to produce 36 redstone flux per tick continuously for us, and so that should keep all of these guys powered, even if we don't produce quite enough power from our solar panels, which produce, I think, 32 or maybe 16 redstone flux per tick. I can't quite remember. Let me go and sleep here real quick. Oh, I guess not. There are monsters nearby. We cannot rest. That's fine. So now that that's done, there are a few more things that we could do in the mechanism questline. But what I would like to work on for the remainder of today's episode is expanding our applied energistics system just a little bit and making it a bit more user-friendly. But before we do that, let me quickly check here what we're going to get in our loot bags. Pretty much, ooh, a diamond shield. I was going to say pretty much stuff we've already got before, which for the most part it was. However, we did get a diamond shield. Can you use that as an actual shield? A diamond shield. Is that a vanilla item? I have no idea. Diamond. It might be. I have never actually used a shield. It's not. It's from Thermal Foundation. But I guess that's nice to have nonetheless. We can defend a little bit easier now with our hatchet fighting if we'd ever decide to fight anything that's not like an enderman, which is pretty much all we've been fighting up until now. But nevertheless, now that we've got a basic applied energistics system, the next thing that I would like to be able to do is access my applied energistics system whilst I'm not at the crafting terminal. And to do that, we have to make what is known as a wireless terminal. But we can take it one step further. We can actually go with the wireless crafting terminal from the wireless crafting terminal 2 mod, an item that I've never used before, but one that I've always wanted to use. But to make it, we do, of course, have to start with the basic wireless terminal from Applied Energistics. And to make this, we need a wireless receiver, which is 3 iron, 1 quartz fiber. We made some of those last episode, as well as a flux pearl, which is made with 4 flux dust and an ender pearl or a friender pearl, if you want to use that instead. Just to make things quicker here, I'm going to go ahead and like pulverize up 31 flux crystals, just so we don't have to keep coming back and making those one at a time as and when we need them. And so once we've got all of those, let's go ahead and craft up one of these flux pearls. What am I missing for that? I'm missing an ender pearl. That's because all of my ender pearls are over in my mob farm chest. Let's grab a few of those. Also, speaking of my mob storage drawers, we didn't actually open any loot bags last episode. I might do that at the end of today's episode. I'll throw a few ender pearls into here just in case we need them. But I do want to keep most of my mob drops over by the mob area. And actually, one thing we should probably do we not have any quartz fiber? Oh, we don't. That's fine. One thing we should probably do is set up another storage bus on that drawer controller so that we can access everything from our mob storage drawers, from our crafting terminal. But we're getting sidetracked. We should be able to make another one of these fairly easily. I think we've got what it takes to make a formation core and an annihilation core. One thing that does annoy me a little bit is that whenever you shift click in a crafting recipe, it does always use pure Certus quartz crystals before normal Certus quartz crystals, despite us having so many more normal Certus quartz crystals. I think it has to do with the numbering, 419210, 4192. I'm not quite sure why, but it always pulls out pure Certus quartz. So whenever you're crafting, just a quick tip, make sure you swap it out if you don't want it to use your pure Certus quartz crystals. Not really too big of a deal for us now that we've got that crystal growth chamber, but normally it's a bit of a pain. So we can now make an emmy terminal, good stuff. And then finally, we need a dense energy cell. This is made with 1 calculation processor and 8 energy cells. These are made with Certus quartz crystals, flux dust, and quartz glass. We do need 8 of these, and so we are going to need 32 flux dust for that in total, which means I do need to get a couple more of these, despite what I did at the start of the episode here. And again, I'm kind of tempted just to do this to make it just a little bit faster. And by just a little bit faster, I mean ridiculously fast. And then we should be able to fairly easily make ourselves 8 of these. Let me get rid of you, and you. And actually, now that I think about it, we probably don't have the glass. We don't. Let me instead do this, and then one more time. Boom. Nice. So, kapow, get rid of you, and you. Replace those with normal Certus quartz crystals that are a lot easier to get, and then go ahead and craft up 8 of those, like so. Made one too many, but that's fine. We can then go ahead and craft those into a dense energy cell, and then finally craft them all together into a wireless terminal. Nice. Now, to upgrade that wireless terminal to a wireless crafting terminal, the difference being that in the wireless terminal, you can't craft. You can just access and pull items out. In the wireless crafting terminal, it's essentially this item here, but you can carry it around in your inventory, which is really cool. You need an Emmy crafting terminal and another flux pearl. The flux pearls are really easy to make, and the Emmy crafting terminal we've already made multiple of so far. So let me make another Emmy terminal here and then craft that up with a crafting table, which we do have. I didn't think we would, and a calculation processor to get an Emmy crafting terminal, and boom, it's done. It's that easy. Now we do have to charge this up. I believe we can do that in our capacitor bank over here, and so let's just throw you in like so. Let's go start charging that up slowly but surely. You can see it does hold a butt ton of power. You'll notice it's at 0.7% completion, despite pulling out 1,000 redstone flux per tick from our basic capacitor bank here. So it does hold a lot of power, which is quite good. Hopefully it'll last quite a long time. I'm not quite sure how much power it uses actively when you use it. But while we're waiting for that, we do need to make ourselves an Emmy wireless access point. This is going to allow our wireless terminal to connect to the AE system. For this, we need another calculation processor, one Emmy glass cable, which I think we should already have in the system, and then finally another wireless receiver, which requires another one of those flux pearls, which of course requires more flux dust, which we don't have despite making a ton of it in today's episode. So I'll throw that into there, craft that up like so, and then that should be pretty much the wireless access point done. If we just do this and this, it is indeed. For now, I'm going to put this like right about here. Actually, no, I'll put it on the top. I'll put it like right about there. We might move that in the future. I believe by default, yep, it has a range of 16 meters, and so you can use the wireless crafting terminal anywhere within a 16 block range of the wireless access point. You can make range boosters. These guys over here are wireless boosters. They're fairly easy to make. It requires 1 flux dust, 1 Certus quartz crystal, 3 iron, and then 1 ender dust, which you can make by putting an ender pearl into a quartz grindstone. A little bit tedious, but not too bad. And that can increase the range. I think infinitely, you can put as many of these as you want into the wireless access point, but the more you put in, the more power it will use passively. So you do want to make sure that you've got enough redstone flux to back that up. I don't know if we necessarily will have, because even with this out, we are still actively losing, what was it, 25 redstone flux per tick, now 58 redstone flux per tick, and so we really should hook up the solar panels and the wind turbines to our setup to make sure that we keep the lights on, because if the power does go out, then we're not able to access our Emmy crafting terminal. Not too big of a deal, because a lot of our stuff is in storage drawers, but it does mean we can't access anything that's in our Emmy drive here, which would be a bit of a pain. Nevertheless, what do I need now? Oh, of course, the final bit of the puzzle is we need to get ourselves a security station, is it? An Emmy security terminal. This is going to allow us to link our wireless crafting terminal to our applied energistics 2 system. To make it, we need to get ourselves an Emmy chest and a 16K Emmy storage component. That one might be a little tricky, although I think we do have everything it takes to make it. This one is nice and easy. We just need another Emmy terminal, which means we do, of course, need another formation core and another annihilation core. And I am aware that I did just use the pure Certus quartz crystal to make it, despite complaining just moments ago that I was not a fan of how it automatically did it. Nevertheless, let's make another set of illuminated panels, make another Emmy terminal, and then craft that together to make an Emmy chest, like so. And then finally, one 16K Emmy storage component, which does have a lot of crafting involved. We need 3 of those, which means we need 9 of these. Do we have what it takes? I think we do. I am going to replace these here because I don't want to use too many of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If the server catches up, there we go. And then craft those up into the 4K variant, like so. I think we're missing some glass. We are indeed. Let's do that real quick. And then finally, make 2 more of those. And I think we should be good to make the 16K Emmy storage component. We are indeed. And finally, the Emmy security terminal. Nice. So again, for now, I guess we can put this down like right about here. We are kind of getting close to our limit on how many Emmy items we can have in our network. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, we can only have 8 in total here. But what we should be able to do now, if we open up the Emmy security terminal, put in our wireless controller up here in the top right, that's going to go ahead and link the wireless crafting terminal to our AE system. And so now, if we walk away from the terminal, but stay within the 16 block range of the wireless access point, we should be able to access everything that is inside of our system, everything in the storage drawers, and everything inside of our Emmy drive cage, as well as craft with it. So for example, if I wanted to craft up a chest real quick, I could grab some logs, put those in here, craft up 2 lots of those, and then do something like this, and boom, we can access all of our stuff and craft with any of it from anywhere within a 16 block radius, which is not huge, but do we have our grind stone still set up? Let me quickly grab like an ender pearl here. I'm not quite sure how much more range you get per booster. Also, I don't know where my grindstone is. It might still be in the system here. It's not. Did we have a grindstone? I'm fairly certain we did. Let me just... It was like over here, right? I have no idea where it's gone. But then again, it's not too hard to make. So let me just quickly craft up another gear. We do also need to get a tree farm set up ASAP, because wood is something that I'm constantly running into problems with. We just don't have enough sticks or enough planks or enough logs or anything like that. But nevertheless, let me get some more sticks here so we can quickly make ourselves a crank. You know what? We'll go old school. We'll do it in the crafting station here. And then once we got those, kaboom, take that out. And then little bit of grinding in the form of the quartz grindstone. We'll do it like that and like that. Hopefully it shouldn't take us too long. I'll just do the one for now. We can make the other one in a second if it doesn't do that much of a range increase. Let me see. If I do that, we get 2 at a time, and I put those into here. Right now it's using 16 redstone flux per tick, which is quite a lot given that we're not producing that much. If I put in 2 more of these, it goes up to 20 redstone flux per tick and doesn't really increase the range all that much. You can see it goes up by 1 meter with one, and then goes up by almost 2 meters with the second one. And so I think they do scale. The more you put in, the more rapidly the range increases, but also the more rapidly the amount of redstone flux goes up as well. And so for now, I think 18 blocks might be fine. I think it should get us pretty much all the way across our island here. It almost gets us to the edge here. I don't think it's quite going to get us to our mob farm, though, which is a bit of a shame. Can we get it here? We can. We can't get it there, so it gets us to about here. It should allow us, my jetpack is almost out of fuel, but I think I can make it under here. It should allow us to access it, most importantly, from down here, though. So if I'm working on things and trying to set up systems on the lower level of my base here, I can actually access all of the stuff and craft with all that stuff from this lower level, which is really useful and really nice to have. But with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's episode of Project Ozone Lite. There, as always, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to like. It really does help out a lot. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you're new here. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.